Round of applause. So before we open it up, can you again introduce yourselves for if somebody was late and what was your role and
Sure.
talk a little bit, and one more thing, just talk a little bit about the genesis of your project.
Okay, sure, yeah. So hi, my name is Florence and I'm the director of the short doc you saw at the beginning called No Matter the Weather. It's a movie about my relationship with my grandmother that I built while I was being her caregiver. It's a strange story about how it began all this because I had just won a grant to make a movie about COVID and my experience while I was working in elderly home. That's how you say it. Yeah. And so the week I received the grant, my grandmother fell and broke her ankle. And she was supposed to appear a little bit in my movie, and she was very disappointed not be able to be in it anymore. And so I told her, well, we can change that. So I threw the whole idea of the movie about COVID into the garbage, and then we decided to make a new movie about this new reality and this new intimacy that was building up between us two. And so the beginning was really improvised.
And I'm Colin Kolese. I'm the producer and co-editor of the LeMiures. And Sammy can talk about the beginnings of the project.
Sammy, I'm the director and also co-editor. I've been filming it for about 3 to 4 years, just on my family, and there's a lot of change going on, so I wanted to really just immortalize those events. And then I showed Colin some footage. I went to school with Colin at NYU, and then we really just started tackling it, better half of last year. Colin was really invaluable in the edit because I'm too close to the material and he's got kind of more of an objective look at it, so he was really helpful in that regard. And it was really a labor of love and a fun process making it together. And do you have anything to say, Adam?
Yeah, that was sort of how it began. It's funny, the first footage that Sam showed me, which is actually the very end of the movie, the last scene, was something that he had put together for like a class project our sophomore year, like before he had any idea sort of what this film would become. And yeah, I saw that and I don't know, kind of had the feeling like it might be something, but you never really know. And so over the next few years after that, just he'd go home and shoot stuff and come back and we'd look at it and kind of went from there.
So before I open it, I'd ask 2 questions, and if anybody has questions, then please ask them. I was really interested, both of your movies deal with aging and death, and how did the two of you, all of you, feel about dealing with this? Was it uncomfortable? Was it scary at times? Because these are these kind of very personal stories that kind of scare the shit out of us, sorry for my French, but no matter what age you do it, because you start thinking, I'm going to be old one day. And the second thing I wanted both of you to talk about the editing. Both of you have something I noticed similar, that in mainstream kind of editing, you try to cut the shot a little bit early, so audience will kind of feel, wow, this was too short. You guys, both of you, let the shots linger a little bit longer. And on the one hand, it makes the film feel a little slower, but on the other hand, it feels so authentic and realistic. And it's a very gutsy, because I'm sure people say, oh, you can cut it, but by keeping every shot a little longer, it just felt so much more powerful. So, were you aware of it? Not? How was the editing process as well?
You want me to start? But the first part of your question was, the first week I began to shoot the movie, and this new intimacy was building between me and my grandmother. We were already very close, but this was kind of very new and strange to wash the body of your grandmother that used to wash me. So it was very vulnerable for me, and I'm really bad with griefs, as you can see in the movie, and so at what time I realized that the movie was really about that, about saying goodbye to my grandmother before she had already been she passed. And the movie is a little bit premonitory because we didn't know while we were filming, but my grandmother had cancer, and she passed away a few months after. Well, we were still in post-production, and sorry, and so it was a blessing to do this movie with her, and so yeah, it kind of. I mean, the documentary goes beyond just a movie. It really made an impact in my life with her, and to have like this kind of cherished relationship. And that's why I wanted to put in the movie. We were talking about the movies, the movie, and that was important to me because I didn't want to escape that kind of experience. I wanted to show to the audience that this movie was making a difference in our lives, and that also what influenced the editing, because she was telling me about those griefs and those losses and how she felt that everything kind of was getting a little bit further away, even her dear ones, and she felt like she really was in our same reality than us. So that's why I wanted it to be a little bit more slower, and especially the end where we see her waiting for the next time I'm gonna come. I know that it's a big part of her reality, and so I wanted to end it that way.
Wow.
Yeah, I guess for me it's not so much like I'm just interested. I am interested in death, and I kind of grew up in that funeral business, but it's less kind of analyzing that, and more like I've always been interested in like the relationship between like an aging grandma and her 3 mortician grandsons. And yeah, just kind of like what Florence was saying, it's like it is really a time capsule that my family can have for decades to come, and it ultimately was a movie that I wanted everyone to enjoy, because I do think it is pretty universal, and that's kind of what we thought throughout the editing process. Like everyone kind of goes through stuff like this, but yeah, but it's also just, it is something that we can watch for generations to come, and later generations can watch it and meet grandma, and that really is really special.
What did your family say about it?
It was very gratifying. I think it was different than what they thought it was going to be, and a lot of them had forgotten a lot that happened because it was such a long filming process, but they really liked it, and they kind of said the same thing, like they're very blessed that they have this for the family,
Questions? Anybody? Yeah.
I have a question for you, Sammy. I know filming is a long process. You have to think about it, you have to plan, but how do you plan around death when it just happens and you have to be there to film it?
Yeah, I suppose it's a mixture of being prepared, but also staying intuitive. Like we did kind of like plan a lot of things that are in the movie. We, I guess in a sense, wrote it, and things do get rewritten in the edit, but also just I mean Tony's death was obviously really unfortunate and hard for the family, but also like a natural narrative stemmed from that, and just following that natural narrative, but also kind of guiding it and making a story out of it. I guess if that answers your question, it's like
but
being.
It meant you had to be there.
Yeah, it's just capturing it.
Right.
Keeping your eyes open and making sure you're there to capture it.
More questions? Yeah.
Yeah, I have a question for actually both teams, if that's all right. So I'll start with Florence. Did you know going in you wanted it to be a mixed media thing with the animations, or was that something that you found along the way? And like, what was that like?
It's the only thing about the old movie about the COVID that I kept.
Okay.
But at first, when I started editing, I wanted to remove all the animation stuff. I thought it didn't belong to that movie. Then after I realized that the movie was about a dialogue between youth and elderly, and I wanted to capture that in the language of the movie. And it was a way for me to express all the thing that we couldn't say, and it was to express kind of a feeling of watching time goes, and this kind of anxiety also growing through time. So for me, yeah, it makes sense because editing took a long time, and we were editing and still shooting, you know. And then after I realized that I could, like, kind of comment tu dis remplir, like fill the gap with those kind of animated scenes. Yeah.
And then my question for the other team, did you guys have an easy or hard time, or what was it like kind of finding like obviously each story is kind of like its own lifeblood of like Beverly's the heart, but then, you know, the grandkids are kind of their own like lifeblood of the story, but then also just the kids and like the dinner scene was kind of the lifeblood. Was it easy to kind of find the mixture of like how much do we focus on the funeral home versus the kids that were figuring out what to do? Like, was it pretty easy, or was it kind of a hard process to be like, we need to make sure to keep it all balanced?
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. Like, we talk about this a lot. Like, it's sort of like equated to like when you're making like a big gumbo or something. Like, we had 700 hours of footage.
Wow.
And as Sam kind of mentioned, like, we had the, you know, some of the, you know, what we thought would be in there, you know, sort of a rough conception of it ahead of time. But it was sort of like, you know, building a house. Like, some rooms were completely put together. Like, as I mentioned, that last scene kind of was untouched from when you first showed it to me when we were sophomores. And then some things, like, you kind of have to build from the ground up kind of thing. But as you kind of touched on, like, I don't know, it was kind of intuitive and felt natural, like, okay, this, enough of this here, and okay, let's go off on this narrative track here, and so on. So, I mean, it took a lot of trial and error, and, you know, a lot of people watching different versions of it, but I don't know, kind of strike that balance eventually, like you do with like a good gumbo.
Yeah, showing it to people that didn't know me or the family was very helpful, because they were able to tell us, oh, this doesn't make sense, we need more of this person, because, you know, I'm not understanding this person enough. So I think that was very beneficial.
Was there any scene they wanted you guys to edit out, or no?
I don't think so.
I mean, you can ask them, they're here. It's kind of too late at this point.
Not really, I mean,
No.
we added the holy water scene like dead last. Like, we took that out and added that in because people seemed to like it, but no one really said to take anything out.
That's
We
great.
get sued next week.
Any other questions? Do you guys want to talk about your next projects? Is it going to be within the same world, or is it going to be a different world? I mean, you did a show. Do you want to expand it, or was it so
Yeah, well,
intense you're done with that world?
It's my first documentary. Usually I write fiction, and I'm mostly a screenwriter, but I'm writing now 2 feature films. One it's in
Sorry.
one is in animation, and it's about Vietnam War, and we're adapting a famous book in Quebec. So, and the other one is not in anime. It's real
Fiction.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
it. And I'm still writing it. Yeah.
What about you guys?
I'm making another documentary on Peter Luger. It's an institution in New York, and so we're gonna be working on that pretty
That's
soon.
awesome.
Yep.
So they're gonna be here. We're being kicked out, so they're gonna be out here. We're being escorted out, not kicked out. But anyway, give them another round of applause. And thank you again to our sponsors. And look at the program and come see a lot of other things. We have an amazing program this year.
Please
Thank you so
come
much.
talk to our filmmakers out in the lobby by the step and repeat.